Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's Mike here at Game From Scratch, and today I'm doing a video I never ever thought I would be doing, and it's a video in which I am going to be praising Facebook. Now before I get too far into this, I want to throw out a standard disclaimer. I think Facebook is a blight. I think Facebook is actually making humanity worse. I think Facebook should go away and burn in a special hell. Now with that out of the way, let's get on to today's good news. So I checked out on Twitter today, and just a little while ago, about an hour back, they announced, actually even less, they announced that Facebook is now going to be part of the Blender Developer Fund. So yeah, Blender, one of those things that I really actually like, that embodies everything that is good with humanity and the world, and development, open source, and all the rest of that stuff. Yeah, well, it's now going to get financial support from Facebook. Yeah. Okay, so the funny thing is, even in my seeing of the Twitter here, the founder of the Blender Foundation, Ton Rosendahl, actually kind of the tone of his tweet here. Haha, surprise news, super cool to get them to support Blender, and then a total disclaimer. In no way will this take us away from the mission to remain free and open source and to support a better web that serves all of humanity. You can sort of read between the blinds that I have a feeling that Ton and I might have a similar outlook on the world of Facebook. But regardless, if you are a fan of Blender, this is ultimately good news. And don't be worried, it doesn't mean that Facebook is going to be driving the direction of Blender. It just means that they found reasons to mutually exist with Blender and want to support its development. So here we are. This is the announcement over on the Blender Fund, or the Blender blog. Press release here to support these artists and countless other animators, researchers, engineers, designers, and content creators who depend on open source tool. Facebook wishes to contribute to the development of Blender, which is why we are proud to announce that Facebook will join the Blender Foundation's development fund as a corporate patron. Don't worry, in just a sec we'll kind of go over what corporate patron actually means. As of Q4 2020, and then we at Blender see this as another important signal of the industry's willingness to migrate to an open source and to contribute to open source's continual improvement. So that is pretty good, actually, overall. Now, you're seeing here, Facebook has been using tools that help artists turn their Blender creations into engaging AR or augmented reality experiences in Spark AR. So that is their reasoning behind this. Also, you got to keep in mind that Facebook owns Oculus, so they do have a vested stake here, but it is Spark AR that they are all about here. This is the direct reason why they joined the foundation, and this is where they currently are most directly using Blender. So that is the reasoning behind it, at least from Facebook's perspective. So what does this actually mean to the Blender Foundation? Well, they have something here called the fund.blender.org. This is the Blender Development Fund. Details right now, they're getting 133,000 in monthly contributors from 5,128, I can't speak today, individuals, and then 49 corporations. So they are pretty well funded. There is their current target. Their target system doesn't make a whole lot of sense these days. So here you're seeing the membership tiers for someone like you or I, or a very small business, to sponsor them. But if you are a corporation, you are instead in this tier. So here we can see you get corporate patron is what they just joined at, means that they're giving them at least 120,000 euro per year. So that works out to 2 developers being funded because of this effort. Of course, that doesn't necessarily mean that's how the money is being spent, but that is definitely cool to see here. And they've actually joined, we've had a number of people being brought on board with the Blender Foundation here. You'll actually see name and logos are mentioned on blender.org, so let's go see the list here. And it's actually a pretty big who's who list. Oh, they lied. I don't see them. Oh well, so if we go back to the developer fund page and scroll down a little bit more, we do get the list here, and you're going to see at the patron level, so again, everybody on this list is giving them 120,000 euro or more per year. We are seeing Facebook is now there, along with Epic Mega Grants, an Epic Mega Grant, so Epic Games gave them a flat big chunk of money. I think it was $1.2 million. Then we've got Unity in there, NVIDIA in there, and AMD in there. So we got the 2 biggest game engines for sure. We got the 2 biggest video card manufacturers, and then, of course, we've got Facebook. We saw a couple of other ones come online this year as well. I think Intel was already on board, I think, but Microsoft joined recently. Ubisoft, now that's not Ubisoft, the big company, that's Ubisoft Animation, but it's still cool to see. They came in as corporate gold sponsors, and then we kind of keep going. kind of making Google look like a cheapskate at this point in time. But you see here, they've got a number of different sponsors, but the really, really big ones here are at the patron tier. So whenever there is a new patron, that tangibly means generally 2 more developers or potential for 2 more developers on the team. And that does have an impact. As we've seen, there's been more and more corporate sponsorship in Blender in the last couple of years. And a lot of people's fears that it was going to destroy it seem to have been unfounded. None of these influences have really ruined it. Epic came on board really early, a couple of years ago. And, Unity support never got hurt or anything like that. One of these companies came out before the other. It didn't mean that Blender wouldn't run on the other hardware or anything like that. As far as I've noticed, all of these patrons have actually just resulted in faster releases of Blender. And I just did a video on Blender 2.91 beta, and compared to 2.9, it's staggering just how fast Blender is improving. Since 2.80 was released, I think it was last summer. It is just staggering how much better Blender is getting in a very short period of time. And although you may not like big outside corporate money, it definitely helps. Also, nobody can buy Blender. Blender is always going to be its own independent thing. There are, however, enough people that have reservations about this. I did a breakdown basically showing how Blender could not be sold. So if this increase of corporate money, even if it's coming from the pits of hell themselves in the form of Facebook, don't worry, it's not going to do anything negative to Blender. This is just straight out good news, which is strange to report because, again, I don't generally ever really expect to talk about Facebook in a positive manner on this channel. So it's nice to have an exception to that rule right now. So I'm interested to hear what you think on this. Are you shocked to hear Facebook in a positive light? And what do you think of the recent development with Blender? It's definitely improving at a pretty staggering rate, in my opinion. There have been a few things that fell by the wayside, but for the most part, I think almost all new releases, it's just better and better and better. So definitely some nice big news here today. The addition of all of these patrons, the more and more people coming on board more often, it's kind of like a who's who of who I would expect to be supporting Blender at this point in time. I'm also kind of curious if there's a name here you see as just glaringly missing. I don't think we're going to see Autodesk on here anytime soon. But other than that, it's kind of weird to see Facebook as one of those levels. But hey, an extra 2 developers a year for Blender, definitely a good thing. So let me know what you think. Comments down below, and I will talk to you all later. Goodbye.